Hi, everybody. How's it going? All right. We're going to talk about Drupal as a learning platform today. Speak up. Okay. Uh, so, uh, Drupal can manage learning too. This is one of my little pet peeves. People want to say Drupal is a content management system. And all the work I've done and different projects I've worked on, to me, it seems like it's more and more a management system or a data management system. So I want to first thing I want to say is let's broaden our idea of what Drupal is and what it can do. So it can do more than just display content or manage content. And an example I would have is like a commerce product or a commerce line item. Is this content that's being managed by Drupal, or is this something else? So I'd say it's a data. So let's expand our mind about what Drupal is a little bit, and I want to start with that. So Drupal manages data and provides facilities to do many things with that data. My name's Mark Hanna. I'm senior developer at Skvare, and I'm really passionate about this subject. Learning is really something that I'm interested in. Having open source learning solutions for people is just one of my passions and very important to me. So very excited to give this talk. I have like 90 slides, had to cut it to 30. So squeeze as much in here as I can. So we're going to start at the end with the beginning. The Drupal as a learning platform has all the functionality one needs to create a learning platform contained in one system. You're going to need some contribution modules, obviously, but we're going to show how that it has everything it needs to create an online learning platform. This significantly lowers the barrier to entry for especially small to medium-sized organizations. There's a highly fragmented market. There's a lot of proprietary solutions. There's open source solutions. But generally it's considered fairly expensive to get a learning system going. And I think that that's going to be less the case here as time goes on, especially with some of the stuff I'm going to talk about. Obviously, when you're using Drupal, you're going to leverage all the award-winning capabilities and thousands of modules out there. So that's a big deal. And a module that Skvare's developed and we're going to release today is the Learning Record Store, a native Learning Record Store. And this will be the only open source system with native Learning Record Store support. So to us, I think to everybody, it's going to be a big deal. Obviously, Drupal, extremely customizable, huge developer base. People can use standard techniques to expand upon what we're going to talk about here in modules that you can download, and scales to enterprise. And a big deal is own and control your own data. A lot of proprietary systems are closed. Maybe it costs you a lot to host any part of the of a learning platform. So if you want to own and control your own data, obviously Drupal's a good choice. Why are learning systems used? So there's a lot of reasons. Traditional education, I'm sure where you've gone to college, you want to prepare for a career. There's a lot of continuing education out there. You have membership organizations or lots of different organizations offering continuing education, especially if you're in like a nursing, medical professional, but lots of industries. So there's new information that comes about. Organizations need to teach these to their members, and individuals need to continually update their knowledge. We need to provide systems to do that. There's your single course learning libraries like lynda.com. People just want to teach specific things. How do I do something in Drupal? How do I do this? How do I do that? So that's a reason they're used. Specialized instruction, basically the same thing. Scuba diving people you have to go take a certification to get that. Maybe if you want to go skydiving or something, you need to take a little course, defensive driving. And then another huge niche in the market is training. So that could be safety training, that could be policy training, that could be on-the-job skills, and a lot of companies need that even for insurance reasons. So it's becoming very prolific, and that all organizations then need this type of functionality to some degree. Maybe a salesman, maybe a company's out rolling out a new product. They want to train their salesmen how to sell this product. Lots and lots and lots of use cases. These last two, you might not generally associate with a learning system. Affect social change. You're wanting to teach people. Maybe you care about the environment and you want to inform people that what's going on with the environment. That's a form of learning. Marketing is a form of learning. The same principles that apply to learning systems apply to marketing. Marketing is just a very simple form. You're teaching somebody why it's a good idea to buy your product. Okay, maybe learning systems are more complex. You want to teach somebody calculus. That's a little more complex idea. The principles are the same. Can everybody hear me? Is that working out? Okay, great. Got to go through some terminologies just so we all know what we're talking about here. Content management system, CMS, you've heard of this. That's what Drupal supposedly is. Organize, create, edit, display content. Okay, we know Drupal does that great. Learning management system. So software for the delivery, administration, tracking of online educational content. You need to let users interface with your platform. You need to do sales. You need to do access control. You need to do all these different things. You need to then track the grading of the results. The user needs a transcript. All these types of things. So that's learning management system. So one you may not have heard about, learning record store, and this is a concept that is relatively new, and this stores and tracks all user experience and interactions that come from an LMS, or more frequently these days, multiple LMSs, and puts it in the one place. It's like the database of record, and is going to be done in a consistent way according to specification that we're going to go into. So there's, we really want to kind of separate these concepts from the learning management system and the learning record store. And as systems get more complex, the use case for the learning record store just becomes more and more apparent. And you may not have all LMSs may not be a website. You might have a web app. You might have in-class instruction, and you want to document these learning experiences, but you want it all on the same system. So you want to put that stuff in the learning record store. So just think of it as the black box, the database that stores all the experiences and interactions. I use those words. What does that mean? Experiences is like I viewed a thing, I watched a video, I clicked the link, I downloaded this file, all those types of things. Interactions are going to be answering a quiz question, or that's going to be giving feedback in a maybe you have a follow-up evaluation. So interaction, I mean any kind of user feedback into the website, not just the website sending them data. So you want to track both of these things. Real quick, a constituent relationship management, a CRM, manage user profiles, memberships, mailings, things like that. Has anybody in this room heard of the Tin Can API? Okay, that's okay. So this is a specification for learning technology that makes it possible to collect data about a wide range of experiences a person has. This is a relatively new thing. We're going to talk about it a little later. So this is a common language, a common API to describe learning experiences, and a common way for content to talk to the LMS to talk to the LRS. And we'll go into that a little bit more, and I'll provide you some resources. This is becoming the industry standard for how interactions are stored. Have anybody here heard of SCORM? Okay, that was the old way, and this is the new way. So this is a way to create replicable content that'll always communicate to the software the same way. What makes up a learning system? So we want content creation. First, you need to create some content for people to consume, for people to learn. You're going to want to have sales of some kind, more than likely, buy and gain access to courses. Obviously, you need to present that learning content to people so that they can consume it. You want to have testing. You need to verify that the person comprehended what you were trying to tell them. I mean, this seems pretty basic, but tracking and storage. Tracking, obviously, you want to document everything that you presented to the user. The idea here is that if you're in an organization and maybe you want to be accredited, and you need to be able to prove that you're actually teaching somebody something. So the idea is to verify the transmission of information and to verify comprehension. Administration is important. You need the teachers, you need the admins, you need the educators, you need them to be able to manage the system, the workflow, the content, whatnot. CRM, whether that's a Drupal user profile or some other tool like CiviCRM, you want to have, maybe you want to handle memberships capability at the same time. Maybe you're going to have events that you want to sign people up for, and you want to communicate to your members. You want to do mass mailings. Certificates, badges, very important for the learner. They want to, what do they get out of this? How are they able to prove to other people that they learned something? So that's the certificate, that's the badge. The current software marketplace is extremely fragmented. So there's many open source and proprietary options. There's you can download it yourself and put it on your server. There's SaaS options. You need all these pieces. And if you're a project manager or consultant and you've been confronted with, I need to make a learning platform, pretty quick you're going to realize, oh wow, there's lots of different options, and they all these different options do one thing great, and maybe they do two things great, but what is the option that does it all great? Because the LMS needs to talk to the reporting tool, needs to talk to LRS, the sales portion might need to talk to LMS and the reporting tool and CRM, and you can see the connections are made. But what's it take to make all this work together as one system, right? We're going to need a developer to do a lot of glue code. Maybe maybe that gets complicated. How open these APIs may be very different from each other. It's just more complicated to get many diverse third-party systems working together. You're going to have a ton of accounts. You're going to have to remember keys. You got lots of logins. We got fees we got to keep up with. All this stuff, just managing all the pieces necessary, can get rather complicated and difficult. And a big one is data sync. I mean, if you've got a separate CRM and a separate LMS and a separate sales, how do you sync the data between all these things? We're constantly going to do exports and imports or merges, and that's a big problem, keeping a database of record, keeping it all in sync. So this is where Drupal comes in. I mean, if you're I've had this experience in the past. Oh my God, we're going to do a learning platform. Where do I start? Oh, and then I woke up and realized I was a Drupal developer and I was all right. So, Drupal has all the pieces necessary to create this, and some of these are new. So. But you've got commerce for sales. You can do CiviCRM for CRM. Something I really want to talk about is H5P, and that's a new interactive video content creation that is just the new awesomeness, and I'm going to show that off. Views and all its hundreds of modules can do reporting, and that's there for you in Drupal. Skvare's developed the LRS. We're releasing that today, so that is now an option and available. And LMS, there's several solutions. We have a solution, and it could be That could be very simple. That could be very complex. That depends on your use case. So Drupal has the facilities to organize and maintain content. The LMS is the part that Drupal's pretty prepared for. That's managing your content, setting up the workflows. Does this person have access control? Have access to the course. Maybe there's prerequisites. Have they bought it? Lots of different reasons. So the idea here is Drupal is the center of a wheel that can make a learning platform happen. So why Drupal? Content creation, of course, huge. There are tons of modules for different types of fields, different types of media that you can show. You've got text, files, links, images, slideshows, audio, video. You want to host it yourself. You want to do third party. All of that you can download a module for. We've probably used it before. Kind of self-evident. There's a great module for Drupal called the quiz module, which is really super for making quizzes, getting your testing. Okay, you got that, Drupal. That's been around a long time, established hardcore module. Web form. You want feedback. You can do a lot of things for web form. You can even use it as a testing tool if you want to. It doesn't have the grade checking capabilities that a quiz would have, but sometimes you don't need that. Interactive video, H5P, the new awesomeness. This is an open source module and library. It actually is a Drupal module, but it's an open source package that, let me see the new slide here. So it is a open source package, but there's a Drupal module for it. There's a WordPress plugin. There's a Moodle plugin for it. So they're really making a push in the open source community to have a content creation tool that is awesome. I'm going to have a set of links at the end of this presentation. You can go to h5p.org. Just look at what they're doing. I took a picture off the front page. What are these guys doing? These guys are taking a YouTube video and they're adding interactive elements into that video. They're editing video in the Drupal browser edit page. Okay, that just editing video on a Drupal page that's awesome. Okay, and not to mention the fact that this is hooked up to a whole documenting feature, so you can track everything that the user is doing with the video. So if you haven't heard about H5P, if you're designing learning content, go to the website, download the module, check it out. It's just fantastic. There's a lot of pre-made, they call them content types. It's similar to, it's basically prepackaged question types or functionality. And you can do a lot more than just multiple choice quizzes here. This is, dragging and matching images or anything you can do with video. Interactive, we're talking about games here. We can do advertising, presentations, and just tons of, if you can think of a way to have a question type, then it's probably already built. The great thing is, too, you can also build your own types. You can take the existing types and modify them. You can build a piece of content in your web browser for your learning management system, export that, and take it to WordPress or Moodle or your other Drupal LMS, and have the exact same functionality. So the new awesomeness. Definitely check it out. If we have time, we might have. I don't know if I'm going to have time for a demo of that. So some other stuff that Drupal already has. We could probably zip few a few of these quiz modules. We're managing questions. Quiz module has many question types, multiple choice, true, false, matching, short answer, fill in the blank, essay. So a lot of your basic quiz question types we're all familiar with going to school. H5P also integrates with the quiz module. So you can use H5P as a question type in the quiz module and integrate with that whole infrastructure. And the quiz module is great. It has a lot of grading, it has a lot of settings. How many times are we going to allow this person to take the test? What's considered a passing grade? Lots of infrastructure and settings there out of the box. So I just want to mention web form again because it can be used for a lot of learning purposes. All right, why Drupal sales with commerce? We all used Drupal commerce before. It's mature, healthy, robust. It's very customizable. You can do a lot of things with it. In this picture here, we're showing a shopping cart where the user is using their continuing education unit credits. So if they have membership credits or some type of thing like that, they're purchasing the product, getting discounted because they're using their membership credits. So that's just the type of thing you can do with Drupal commerce, say, relatively easily. And you can really, you could really take that and think about lots of different options. Drupal, great admin. I don't know, from content editing to just managing the website itself, lots of settings. This is a screenshot from one of our LMS modules, and just easy to use. What are we going to issue certificates for? What event are we going to use to issue the certificate? Just an example of the administration of a website. Very easy. This screenshot here is from our LMS package. This is the course entity, and of course is a course. This is a manage display screen. You can add fields, rearrange them wherever you want, use display suite layouts, very configurable, very nice for an administrator. You're not tied into one layout, one look, one field, or even what data is there. So if you want 100 different types of fields on your course, great. Why Drupal? You've got an awesome open source CRM tool that is Civi CRM. So a little screenshot here. It's like think of it as the Uber user profile. I mean, we're storing all kinds of things, doing big features are like relationships. This person is an employee of this company, or they are a student at this university. You can very much organize your contacts. Tons of stuff working out of the box. Big feature, I think, is the integrated mass mailing system without the need to integrate with a third-party service, which includes dynamic groups, you're tracking click-throughs and bounces, WYSIWYG email creation, all the things you would want and expect from a mailing tool. Plug that right into Drupal and run with it. Tracking. So this is where Drupal's needed a little development to get here. So LMS is very much about tracking what has the user done, how do they answer the question, how do they score on the quiz, what content have they seen, have they watched the video they needed to watch, have they watched all the video they needed to watch. We want to be able to track all this stuff. We want to be able to document this stuff. Another very important part of this is reacting to the events that come from the tracking. You're going to have complex courses. There's going to be reading material. You're going to look at nodes. You're going to look at links. You're going to have videos. You're going to have what are called tin can packages. You're going to have quizzes. All this stuff can be in a course or not. Some courses are going to have quizzes. Some aren't. And you want a way to be able to react. Did this interaction the user just have, did that cause them to pass a course? Are the prerequisites met to gain access to the next course? Or maybe you have multiple lessons and you want to, so you got to pass this lesson to get to that. We need to look at these events and interpret them. And we're talking about thousands of events we're tracking here. So this is, it's important to pick that one out that causes it to pass. Should a certificate be issued? Another big example. So it could be lots of other things in the reaction. So these are the type of things. And Drupal already provides something like rules. You're reacting to all these events. So can we Can we store our interactions in Drupal? Can we make this work? Can we use these facilities? Yes, we can. I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the Tin Can API, also known as the Experience API. They got the tin can from, like, if you're talking to a tin can with a string to another person on a tin can, so that's like the communication or learning. This is an open standard, industry recognized. Official version 1.0 came out 2013, and so it's relatively new. And I think it's taken a little while for it to get into the open source sphere, but it is coming on strong. So you can see the image here. Learning is happening everywhere. We want to collect all the experiences that matter. And go to tincanapi.com if you want to learn a lot more about it. There's tons of information about what it is, what it can do. Needless to say, it's just a common language that we can use to track and document experiences. So the basic principle of the API is the statement. Document what happens. So a lot of text here, but the idea is that we want to be able to document in a consistent way and abstract the concept that somebody did something with some results within some context at some time. And that could be anything. So Tin Can API provides that consistent means to be able to document that level of that type of sentence. So how Tin Can does it, breaks it down into agent, verb, object, results, context, when. So any kind of experience. So the idea is to be able to document any experience that happens, and that's a pretty broad topic. Any experience that happens, how are we going to document that? But statements like Mark viewed the description for course 2, or maybe you want to get a little specific. The user Mark at Skvare.com completed quiz 1, score 87 in course 2 on this date. Perfectly good example of a common use case. This group experienced Mark giving a Tin Can Drupal presentation today. That's an experience y'all are having. We can document that. Mark taught Steve how to fish. He caught 3 this week. Very simple example. This is not your typical thing that you may have put into an automated online learning system, but this can be documented. So 75% of a person's learning experience happens outside of the school or the structure of a course. There's a lot of other learning that happens that's not just in the content you're providing or the class you're taking. Maybe there's project work. Maybe there's meetings or just events that are happening, and these things can be documented also. So there's quite a few modules that are existing, contrib modules, and modules developed by Skvare to put this all together into a one package platform. So we're going to talk about some of the modules that are out there and some of the modules we've developed. Obviously, the purpose of this and what we're talking about is to integrate with the new technology. Let's integrate the Tin Can API with Drupal. Let's allow Drupal to speak this Tin Can language. We want to be able to document. And this is really key. So to get into the learning market, you want to be able to document anything. We need this Tin Can API to be working in Drupal. So you've got H5P and Drupal content for your content creation. Now our Skvare LMS suite has a hierarchical entity structure. You can have programs, so that would be a set of courses. Courses can have sets of lessons, and lessons can have content wrappers, which basically integrate any content into the LMS structure. So what do I mean by that? That means I want to engage the tracking mechanism. I want to engage the response to these events. So did the user's interaction with this content cause this person to pass this course, or do we need to generate a record or a certificate or whatever? And the idea behind this is that you can just plug in different types of content, because that's going to be changing all the time. You want a YouTube video, or you want a Vimeo video, or do you want Amazon, or you want to hook in with something completely new that I don't even know about right now. The idea is to have an infrastructure, or you have a content wrapper, and it controls, it applies the business rules to the user's interaction with that content. Obviously, Drupal Commerce, Civi CRM, integration out of the box, gradebook and certificates. I call them pass records. Pass records is more abstract than, say, a gradebook, because you may or may not have a score. Gradebook is, you're thinking, well, there's a score to this, but not all things are scored necessarily. Integration with the Drupal native Tin Can Learning Record Store, and that's key. You can go to this website, learn more about the features that our suite has. There's quite a bit listed there. So definitely check that. I could go on for quite a while on that. If we have time, I can talk about more features, but we'll let y'all read from it. I don't know if we're going to have time, although I'm breezing through pretty fast.
So, Mark,
Yeah, go ahead.
when you refer to a suite, do you mean like a distribution, or is it just a lot of modules and you pick what you want?
We haven't developed a distribution. Now that's basically the idea of what you need. You need quite a few contrib modules, and we develop modules for our suite. So definitely in the distribution or profile type range of stuff to make all this stuff happen. Like H5P is its own module, and there's a Tin Can API tracking module, and then things to do with certificates and all the different aspects. The quiz module, you want to put all these together, make them work together. We have a system that's a complete deal, and you can definitely talk to us about that if you want to learn more. Here's a screenshot. I just want to show, this is a course, and this was a very simple course, but I wanted to be able to kind of show off in an image a lot of the features. Obviously, you can put any Drupal fields on here, so you can have an image and all the text or description or whatever, normal stuff we do with content. And this is very flexible. This is using Drupal fields or whatever things you want to have. Maybe a level reporting category may or may not fit a specific use case. We're tracking pass status, completion status. The difference there being a unit may not be required to pass. You might have optional reading material, and you still want to track that, the user's experiences with that. Maybe you have business rules that say the certificate is issued on completion, or is it issued on pass, or there's a difference there. Credits earned, certificate, speakers, that kind of stuff. The big thing I like about this is the display of the lessons, and then the various material that make up the lesson. This page is not showing the whole thing, because that goes on if you have multiple lessons and multiple pieces of content in that lesson, and we're telling the user have they passed or not. This is all very configurable display suite, and we can really get all normal theming methods, all Drupal basic principles or best practices. You can see here, though, the integrated with commerce. This person had already enrolled, the buttons, letting them know that. We're showing them the price. Everything integrated. Think of the course as really, to me, just kind of the, it's the hub of the wheel. I mean, you're putting everything together. All the different contents can make up that course into one place. How can we have access to all that information? Which partner do I need to go to? You can go to the one thing that's not passed yet. That's your next place to go. Stuff like that. And we also are doing required to pass and required to proceed. A picture of the admin panel. We're calling lessons course modules, kind of, but we can call them lessons, or you can call them whatever you want. In this case, we were calling it a course module, and you can see here administrator can come in, quickly edit or add units to the course infrastructure. We also did configuration entities. This is Drupal 7, not Drupal 8, but it made sense to have a infrastructure to have developers or site builders or whoever add functionality that we didn't think of. So we just made an entity. We can put configuration fields, and we have hooks. So if you want to say what makes a quiz pass or a lesson pass, maybe you're going to have other qualifications and you want to add those types of things. And the hook for does this pass, you can write some logic to augment the system. Okay, yeah, I'm running out. There we go. Course configuration, What's the label going to be? Are we going to expire a course on quiz failure? Are we going to issue the certificate? What's the certificate template going to be? Are we going to have required to pass, required to proceed? Maybe it's inactive, like a temporary inactive state, whatever. Transcript and certificates, all that baked right in, where you can track every unit that is in the LMS, can have a pass record or not, and you can decide which of these gets a certificate issued. Content wrappers. Courses can be independent of programs, part of program. Each course can have lessons. Lessons have content wrappers. Content wrappers contain multiple content items or media types. Some examples: Drupal content, videos, tin can packages. A lot of learning content is in packages produced by things like Articulate Studio or Storyline. We've got a player for that. We can go ahead and do that. Obviously, the interactive video, I'm recommending the open source H5P solution, but if your organization is committed to something like Articulate Studio, that's fine too. Drupal content, we're tracking nodes, external link clicks, files downloaded, yada yada. Vimeo wrapper, same kind of an idea here. We're wrapping around the video. We're tracking that the user actually watched all of it. So that's the wrapper handle. Wrapping. That's an example of what it means for the wrapper to wrap around a piece of content, because it's more than just displaying that video. Did you watch the video and how much? Okay. A little more on the Learning Record Store, because this is a really new concept. LMS independent storage of learning experiences. This is great if your organization has multiple LMSs, but they want to store everything in one database, or they have mobile apps, or they have the teachers coming in and typing in experiences that they had at their event or whatever. Technically, decoupling of interaction, communication, and learning documentation data modeling. So in a nutshell, that means we can make content over here, and we know that it's going to be able to talk to this over here, okay? So that they're not tied together. The storage and the content are separate. We can make a package that we know is going to be able to talk to the Learning Record Store. That's simplified terms. Standardized documentation of any transmission or comprehensive information, standardized communication to the LMS, other record stores, or reporting tools. This module will be released just as soon as I get done with this presentation and push the code. Big deal, in my opinion. No other open source system has an LRS. Moodle does not have it, okay? That's supposed to be the learning deal. Drupal does. Tin can statements, agent activity profiles, Drupal entity types, all the stuff you love about views and rules and every other entity module that you have, you can use. So total integration. We're integrating with the services module. You can make multiple endpoints. You can have multiple users, so that you can basically set up a system where this user's for this LMS, this user's from this LMS. You can all that's tracked, and you can do reports based on where did this data come from, do all kinds of aggregation, But if you use the services module before, then you can use the tin can LRS. It's like a 5-step process. It's easy. There's a ton of permissions. This is just a tiny set of got very granular with the permissions. Choose your authentication method, make your endpoints. There's going to be, you can look at the project page, and we got more documentation if you want to really look into this further. And obviously integrating with the services module gives you a lot of, one, people are used to working with it, and you get a lot of facilities from that. So we chose to go ahead and integrate with the services. You can see here the server is tin can. We do have a separate server object that we wrote for that. So the little tin can APIs is differences enough from normal REST entity that we wanted to have its own server. The business rules are different. Okay, resources. Definitely check this stuff out. Just go to h5p.org and look at the front image. I mean, what they're doing there, I don't know, made my head explode. So, and the Drupal project for the H5P module listed there, quiz module, Commerce. I really recommend taking a look at what is the Tin Can API and what does this mean. I mean, this is a big topic. I'd like to talk to y'all for about 4 hours. We have 45 minutes. I'm just glancing over the highlights. The LRS is at a sandbox right now. We're going to go through the process, make that a project. You can go see it now. When I push the code will be there. And CiviCRM, go to civicrm.org and learn more about that CRM solution. Also, check out skvare.com/learning. I've written several essays really going into what is learning and what does it mean to make a learning system. So we want to take you from any situation, what is learning, to, and what are the principles of learning, and how do you document that, all the way to what is it, how do you do it in an online system, how are we doing this in Drupal, how are we implementing the principles of learning in Drupal. Check that out. If you have any questions, you want to contact us, mark@skvare.com, Peter Petrick, peter@skvare.com, and we'll definitely would love to talk more about it. Side note, you can also see us at the CiviCRM meetup. We have monthly. What is that, Peter? Second Tuesday? Second Thursday. Okay. I do go out every day, but we're there. We're doing one of our main focuses is CiviCRM. So if you want to talk about CRM solutions, definitely come to the meetup, and we'll talk about that. I got a question. Does anybody want a learning meetup? Y'all people are here in this room. Are you interested in that? And that's something that we'd like to. We're thinking about doing. So I think a learning meetup will be coming in the future, so watch out, meetup.com for that. And I didn't mean to click the link, obviously, just and I had one more slide. We're giving away a free ticket to CivicCon 2016. That's in Fort Collins on January 2nd and 3rd. If you want to register for a chance to receive that ticket, go to skvare.com/free ticket. Any questions? That's the end. Sir.
Can you talk a little bit about like the user management? Are there, like you mentioned, kind of user roles and permissions?
Yeah.
As a teacher, do I have access to create any type of course and test I want, or is that, can you limit that by role?
It can.
Or how do you look at like student profiles to see if they passed?
So most definitely, we have a large set of granular permissions for every object and many different types of activities. So you can make whatever role. If you want to call it a teacher role, fine. You want to call it an editor or a site admin, we have that. and for like viewing the content, editing the content, creating content for each entity type. And then we have permissions to exclude that user from the pass rules. Let's let them view all the content no matter what. Let's let them see the admin panel. So maybe you give the teacher the admin panel role for right there. And there are solutions like node access and stuff. You want to get course specific, we can do that too. Definitely.
You have sets of curriculums that go with the focused learning area. Like you want to learn programming versus learning about artwork or something else.
Yeah.
Curriculum.
So in our terminology, we call that a program because it just as easily be named a curriculum. So a programming program would have a course, maybe intro to programming, and then whatever. So yes. Do. Anything else, y'all? Kyle.
More of a comment than a question.
Yeah.
I think they just started an EdTech meetup in Dallas.
Okay.
EdTech was pretty big in Austin, and I think they recently started a meetup group for EdTech in Dallas.
Okay.
This would probably be completely appropriate for that
Yeah.
meetup group.
I need to sign up EdTech. All right, definitely. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah. I know it was a lot. I'd like to talk to y'all about it for about 4 hours, but and we can do demos, but we just didn't have time in 45 minutes. So if you'd like to contact us, we'd love to talk to you about it more, show you more. So I'll be over there in the hall if anybody wants to talk.